Well, hey folks, it's your old pal, King Waspinator here. Welcome back to Total Party Skills. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. In fact, just take your hands and just mash them on the keyboards a lot and just, see what happens. I'm sure it'll be fine. It's Halloween weekend, so I'm continuing my little push of several World of Darkness role-playing game reviews in a row. And tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts on Kindred of the East. When it very first premiered, there is some stir of controversy similar to some of the complaints that have been levied against AD&D's Oriental Adventures, and that mishandling of Asian stereotypes, or calling the vampires, referring to themselves as Cathayans, or the weird mixing of Japanese and Chinese together to get the term Kuei Jin and stuff like that. And, ignoring all that, in its own way, I still say my personal opinion, these are actually better vampires than the Cainite vampires. I like that they progress through how they feed on blood energy. In fact, they're feeding on chi and or ki, depending on how you want to pronounce it, which they can get through blood, but they transition through it. First they're starting off like ravenous cannibal zombies almost. Then they drink blood, and then they can go on to the more kind of esoteric stuff like stealing your breath and neat shit like that. Also the fact that it's kind of more up to you how you want to lean into, whether or not they're more yang focused or yin focused. The fact that if they go into yang, they can actually maybe resist the sun a little bit. And if they go into yin, instead of bursting into fire when hit by the sun, instead their body starts to rot and decay. And if they take too much damage from that, they can leave them permanently decayed looking and all that kind of stuff. I find that interesting. Also, they do not have the subtle rape analogy that goes with Western vampires, considering how many Western vampires are kind of turned into vampires against their will or without a full conscious consent of what's entailed. Whereas these vampires did it to themselves. They are souls that have managed to fight their way out of hell and get back into a body. And, because of that, they own it more. You can kind of tell that this is like a version of vampire that was conceived after Wraith had been written. There are some aspects to it that are almost a little reminiscent of the Risen, and the fact that they have a Poe, which is basically just the same as a Ghost Shadow, except this time you don't have another player playing the Shadow ruining your day. I like how they barely even have anything like clans. There's regional courts, and they kind of make it out as if it's the version of clan, whereas they have various dharmic paths, which is just kind of whatever special attribute they favor the most. Are they a yang vampire? Are they a yang vampire? Are they a Poe vampire? Or do they seek perfect balance in things? That kind of stuff. But it's not the same as Ventrue, Gangrel, Bruja, Malkavian. There's no distinct bloodlines going through. I also like how the Eastern portrayal of the supernatural world is more integrated. They don't all automatically hate each other. Vampires can interact with the shapeshifters, and they will deal with mages, and it's just not automatic knives out, let's stab everybody. Which I feel like that gives you more range of kind of stuff you can do, so you're not just always just politicking with other vampires in the cities. Also overlooked is the fact that East Asia is the most densely populated part of the planet in many ways. These sorts of vampires should massively outnumber the Cainites, and especially in the modern times as East Asia is expanding its influence internationally more and more. I feel like that's a good opportunity to drag Kindred of the East back up and start introducing these things into our own settings here for people in North America or Europe who are into these things. Especially if you were to run with something of the thing I'm kind of slowly working on, of just this alternate take on the current status of the World of Darkness. If most of the apocalyptic events of 2001, 2002 had actually happened, Whereas, you know, like my thing is like maybe Cain did show up and most of the Cainites are gone now, with maybe the exception of the Tremere, because, you know, they may have been saved by their thin blood thing. And so there's a bit of a vacuum in terms of vampiric nightlife in the world, and this could be a perfect time for the Kindred of the East to start spreading out. Also, perhaps if we want to be less racist, you know, maybe people of other races might actually be able to be, you know, turned into these kinds of vampires on their own. Maybe it's not just for people who happen to live in China, Korea, or Japan. Especially since, you know, you do see, you know, like there are people out there in the world who are Buddhists who are not necessarily, you know, East Asians. I know I'm just a round-eyed barbarian, and I guess it's not good for us to be trying to, like, you know, learn from our betters. Or is it that, like, we're the betters and we're culturally oppressing them? I don't know. It's all pretty stupid. All I know is that these are actually, like, a more interesting vampire if you give them a chance. And I guess that's all I got to say about that. Happy Halloween. Happy Hanukkah. Stay waspinated. Leave comments. Hit buttons, like I said. Just, hell, just, like, pick up your laptop and just right now, just hurl it as hard as you can into the wall. And we'll talk to you later.